How you doing, sister? Hi, good to see you. Look, you're at a meeting. But I got my cousin on the phone, so I'll come with her. But I should come with you. Yes. Everything good with you? Yeah? Nice glasses. Thanks, man. Copied them from you, basically. So when I saw her glasses, I thought, oh my God, that's where you get it. She's the one who started this whole epidemic. Didn't you tell me to go to see? Yeah. I knew I did it. They do. Just look how similar. Look at this.
She talks about all the time.
Look how similar. Dee was the inspiration. Yeah.
Sisters.
But yours are plastic. Mine are plastic. Well, they're comfortable. Same thing. Oh, those look great on you. Plastic feels good. Are they heavy? My other ones are heavy, and they're not plastic. I like these though. They don't, and that's the thing. You only get them a couple times and they're all. So these are 3 years old, and I'm terrified because I know they'll tell me they can't come back. Yeah, but I had a mom's last kid, 50s, and they always knew restrictions and numbers in the 90s. That was really nice. But when they make them in it, they fall apart. That's what they told me. They said they can't. I said, well, good, I'll always have the friends in there. Well, no, you know.
That price ain't as special.
No. And these are, I can't cut different glasses. No. Do you know what happened? So I saw you, I bought a pair. I knew it was a splurge. I didn't. I bought this so I would never lose them because this is like the thing that they sold me at sea. 2 days later I lost them and bought them again. This is the first time I've worn this since that because they fall, not the plastic ones, but the metal ones fall off of this. Is this your invention? I usually carry my sunglasses. There's, I have friends. Nice. Nice. I like it. I like it. You want a pen? Oh my God, you can find your pen. Whoa.
all getting gray and it's falling out pretty damn quick.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. We're lucky. Our $3 scrap's great.
Anyway, thank you all for coming. Bill Herbert's here from Metro Codes, and he's going to teach you a lot of good info, and then save some time for some questions at the end. So hopefully you learn a lot. I'm excited.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, appreciate it. So thank you all very much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I really enjoy doing this, and I like the opportunity to try to kind of share what we do. And so what I really want to do is show you a lot of the tools that we've developed that can help you do your job. So we can help you do your job, and just being completely honest, we're a little strapped for people, we're a little strapped for money, and if you can help yourself, you're not in our office. So you like that, and we like that. So I'm going to show you all the ways that you can kind of self-help, and hopefully this will be information for you. So I'm Bill Herbert. I'm the Director of Codes. I've been serving in that capacity for almost a year and a half. I took over from Terry Cobb, who was there like 27 years, so incredible amount of time. So I'm kind of new to this job, and trying to work my way through it as best I can. So the Codes Department, here's what we do. We issue building permits, we perform inspections, and we enforce on junk, trash, debris, and dilapidated buildings and stuff. Deputy Director is Wade Hill. Zoning Administrator is John Michael. Byron Hall is head of the Building Division. Plan Review is Wade again. Property Standards is Bill Penn. We currently have 116 employees. I'm going to fly through this stuff. This is interesting, just letting you kind of know. So they're the same folks. Here's something to know on this is, for you all's purposes, Brady, Rich, and Leoncio. So Brady is our permit expert guru. So if you're like representing people who've got like a building permit or something, and it's hung up, or you need to know the status, or you just need some help, or maybe you need an inspection, whatever it is, Brady's your guy. Leoncio is in our Development Services Center. He's our public health guy. So if you've got any question about any property, about anything at all, and you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, Leoncio is your guy. Leoncio is also fluent in Spanish, which helps us a lot. So here's how we're broken down, kind of the same kind of thing. Zoning Division, Property Standards, Building Plans. The Zoning Division, we make applications for all building permits. Every single building permit that you see out there for every single thing that is done starts with our 6 zoning examiners. We check the height setbacks, we're doing all this stuff, make sure that your stuff complies with the zoning code. Urban Forester is under our shop. We ultimately issue the permits after they've been through the entire cycle, and we administer the Board of Zoning Appeals. Property Standards Division, here's what they do. High grass and weeds is the big one. Junk inoperable vehicles. 2018-21 inspectors did over 21,000 inspections. 2019 to date, this is slides old, it's about a month old, so we're probably over 18,000 inspections with 21 folks. We're a little busy. So our building division, we do all the building inspections, plumbing, electrical, gas, mechanical. We also issue the use and occupancy letters, which is critical for you all, because before your client, before you, your people can take possession of the property, you have to have that. And I'm going to go into it and show you what we're doing to try to help you all out on that. So our building division, building inspectors, we've got 12 building inspectors, over 22,000 inspections last fiscal year. Average turnaround is 1.2 days. What that really means is that on an average, if you call in for your building inspection today, you will have it tomorrow. Plumbing inspections, 2.5 day turnaround. Mechanical inspections, I'll let y'all know this is a problem for us right now. So 8 inspectors, we had one inspector fall through a roof and he is out on IOD for the foreseeable future. We had another inspector who had to have emergency surgery, so he's actually out. He came back yesterday, but he's on limited light duty. So 8 inspectors, we're down to 6 inspectors. Our core 6 inspectors, when they leave the office every day, they have each one of them has over 100 inspections to perform every day. That's an impossible task. They cannot do it. So what we've done to try to, because in order to close, you got to have your mechanical inspectors. You got to know that the gas mechanical systems are safe. So we started accepting engineers' letters in lieu of the final inspections until this morning. So let me tell you what's changed. We were going to accept the engineers' letters through the end of February until we had found out this morning that certain developers had hired engineers. Engineers were certifying that the structure was fully code compliant. And then when Piedmont Natural Gas would go out to turn on the gas, they would find that the structure had no electricity, that the gas meter was not even connected, and so we had an engineer certifying all of these homes and structures as being ready for the natural gas, for the gas to be turned on, and the meters aren't even connected. So, no good deed goes unpunished. So we cannot have the gas company coming on and turning on gas where it hasn't been inspected. So, I don't know what we're going to do there, and it takes only one to wreck it for everybody, and I'm afraid that's happened to us up this morning. So, electrical inspections, 31,000 electrical inspections. Average turnaround is 1.2 days. Back to mechanical, we're about 3 weeks out right now. We're trying to hire. We actually had an interview today. We're trying to get another guy back into our office. We're doing everything that we can there. I'm afraid it's a bad time. Everybody's going to close by the end of the year, and this is just bad timing, and I really don't know what we're going to do about it. So, there you go. Our plan review division, what I want to tell you all more than anything about this is that we're going to be moving towards the adoption of new building codes. We are currently enforcing the 2012 building codes. We're going to be moving to the 2018. That's not going to have any impact on you all except for single-family residential construction, the energy code. So as our research indicates that every jurisdiction that we're aware of in Tennessee and in the Southeast is not adopting the 2018 energy code because, and while I'm just a lowly lawyer and I don't know these things, here's what the home builders are telling me. They're telling me that to comply with this 2018, For residential, that you would take your 2x4 construction, and in order to meet the insulation value, you should have to construct houses out of 2x6s. So you can imagine the cost associated with that. Furthermore, the 2018 for residential requires 3 air changes per hour. We're currently on the 2009 at 5 air changes per hour. So that's how many times the air circulates through the house within the hour. The problem with 3 air changes per hour is that if you get more restrictive, if you get less airflow than that through the house, your house becomes a sick house. It needs to breathe, it needs to vent to some extent. If it's too tight, you'll get condensation on your windows because the house is not breathing. You'll get a moisture buildup inside the house. You have mold issues. You get the picture. So what happens if you build the house too tight with too much insulation? You then have to add a whole other unit onto the house in order to pump in outside air so that you get enough. So is that adding more electricity in a whole other unit? Are we really accomplishing the goal there? I don't know. The other side to it is, well, what if you build the house just a little bit too loose and it doesn't meet that requisite? If we adopt 2018s and it doesn't meet 3 air changes per hour, it's 4, the house is built. How are you going to fix it? These types of things have not been fully thought out yet. What we are going to propose is that we adopt the 2018 Energy Code for residential with the 2009 insulation values. It seems to be the most reasonable. It's what the state of Tennessee is doing. But there's a push for sustainability and all of that. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know that the technology is where it needs to be for us to adopt the 2018 for residential. But I'm putting it on your radar because it's going to be coming up in sometime in 2020.
Is there a vote, or who makes that decision?
Yeah, great question. You read my next mind, so that's fine. So what we will do is once we run it through the mayor's office and we get some feedback about what they want, we will then put an email blast out from all the people that look at us. We will then put it front and center on our website. We'll have about at least a 60-day comment period for everybody to weigh in. We will then crunch all of those comments. We will then propose the legislation. The legislation's been drafted, but we'll have it filed. It will then go in front of the Metro Council for adoption. So that's the process. There'll be plenty enough time for everybody to weigh in. If you have an opinion on this matter, there'll be plenty enough time to weigh in and opportunity to weigh in. So here's something that you all might be interested in, and that is, so what's Nashville doing out there? Yeah, it's like really growing. We all know that. What's interesting here, we'll step around, is so this is the 18-19 fiscal years. You can see this, so what this chart represents is the value, the construction value of all permits that we issued during that fiscal year. So last year we were at $4.211 billion in construction value for Nashville. Our projection based upon where we are right now is significantly higher than that for this upcoming fiscal year. So we're estimating about $4.54 billion. I'm going to follow back up real quick here. So here's the number of building permits that we issued last year. We were at about 11,400. That's down slightly. Going back to this slide, you can see back in this year we were bumping up to 4.2 billion, but nevertheless our building permits were down. So what does that tell us? We got more value, we got less permits. What that means is bigger projects. That's what we're seeing out there is bigger projects. So interestingly, when we move forward, we're anticipating more building permits here based upon what we're seeing. This is playing out. What this should tell you all is that We've had some big shell buildings come in, and what we're gonna be seeing over this next fiscal year is gonna be an overall increase in permits, and what is that? They're gonna be the office tenant finish outs. They're gonna be all these shell permits for these really big buildings. It's gonna be the building permits associated with the new offices that are all going in. That's what we anticipate is gonna be coming online for you all, and for like the commercial end of this may have real ramifications for you. So moving forward, our projection is that, at least on the commercial end of this, we're seeing some pretty big numbers here, so you all should be pretty happy about that.
And so are you thinking that is that gonna tie up, is that gonna draw out, I guess, time that it's gonna take for everyone to kind of check everything? Is it gonna make it a longer process?
Not really. It will kind of sort of, but not so much, really. The tenant finish out permits are really kind of quick and easy. They're easy for us to review. There's not much to them. Getting the inspections, I'm not seeing that it's going to make a material difference, really. So I'm putting this out there just so that you all know. I just want to let y'all know. So the codes department, we do not operate off of tax dollars. We use zero tax dollars. We fully fund ourselves with our building permits. So I'm going to pick like this last year, 2019, and this is true for every single year going back, is that we will, in terms of what our revenues are blue, our expenditures are brown, and that gray is what we return to the general fund. Every single year, whatever we budget in terms of our revenues that are coming in 2019, we budgeted $23 million. Our actual was $24.8. So every single year, we make more money than we're budgeted. Every single year in our expenditures, actually, we spend less money than we're budgeted. And every single year, we return more money back to the general metropolitan government than we budgeted every single year. So,
Good work. After being at the breakfast this morning with Bailey, they need more of that.
so we are really careful with what we do, and I will tell you how we're able to accomplish this. So at the end of the day, like just this last year, we returned back to the general fund $14.9 million, almost $15 million. That goes to police, schools, it goes to everything, but it doesn't come to us. So,
Bill,
yeah.
is there some kind of metric that says you have to? I mean, y'all need people, right?
Yeah, we do.
What
So
keeps you from doing
here's how that works, man. It's we have to have a blessing through the mayor's office. It has to be in our budget for the year, and then it has to be approved by council. So while I can ask, that's all I can do is ask for more people. It has to be, the administration has to approve it, and then it has to be ratified by council.
Are they being told no?
Last year I was told no in no uncertain terms. And, but this has been my position on it, and I differ from my predecessor, is, hey, I'm a big boy. You can tell me no, and that's fine. But I am not gonna ask. I'm gonna ask. And you can tell me no, and that's fine. It gives me plausible deniability, quite frankly, so when you all are very upset because you can't get your final UNO letter and you can't get your, at least I can say with a clean conscience, I did everything that I could to get more people so that I could have a better level of service so that we could help you more. And if I'm told no, I'm told no. That's all, that's just it.
Y'all ever considered, and I don't know the legality of this, letting the developers come up with a fund to help employ more people? Because I do some development, a lot of people I work with do development. They would be willing to pay thousands of dollars to not have the headaches they have.
Yeah.
I passed in the elevator today, by the way.
Yeah, good to see you. So I'll give you a sneak peek here, and I may have a slide on this, I may not, but historically the department, well, it's been off at least since 2015. The last time that under the ICC codes, it assigns square footage values for X number of square feet. And the figure that we've been using is the 2015 value. I need no council authorization to change that to the 2019 values as prepared by the International Code Council. I've been in talks with the mayor's office. My next talk will probably happen later this week about adopting the 2019 tables. We expect that will then raise the price of a building permit by 7.5%. It's not that much. By the end of the year, we would have generated $673,000 more in revenue by the end of the fiscal year. And then going forward, an additional $1.1 million for each subsequent year that we stay under those values. So the preview there is I'm probably going to do that. Because I have to. My deal with the mayor's office is, if I do this for you, will you do this for me? Give me more people.
Right.
We gave back $15 million last year. I get it that $15 million is like already spent for this next year, but what if I find an additional $673,000 that wasn't in the budget anywhere, that's kind of newfound money, and roll that back into the department in terms of getting back to extra people? They seem very amenable to that, and this administration views it, I think, as like value engineering, because if you think about it, all of these numbers come from building permits. If we're able to bring in more building permits, then that's more money. If we're able to cycle those permits through us more quickly, that's more buildings that come online, which then translates into property taxes. So a little bit on the front end can make a big, big difference in the not too distant future. So that's my end.
But y'all wouldn't be open to a fund that literally develops.
I don't think legally we can do that.
Okay, good. Because you would get so much money, like it would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, and the builder development community has been very, very supportive of us, and we really appreciate that. I hate to hit them with 7.5%, but in talking to everybody out there, they're like, we don't care. The building permit is so insignificant to what our bottom line is. 7.5%, hey, if it gets us inspections more quickly, if it gets us our UNO letter so we can close, we're all about it. I haven't had any pushback on that.
How many employees do we have compared to comparable cities of our size that are exploiting youth growth?
You know, I really don't know. The only one that I do know is we have in our plan review division, we have 6 plan reviewers, I think, maybe 5. Atlanta has 25. So, yeah.
Is there anything we can do to support you? Right.
Contact your council person when it comes time for budget. Give us a good word. What we're trying to do is increase the level of service. And we feel like if we can do that, then it helps the city as a whole. So, and it helps you individually.
Yes, so I understand we can't prove the funds, but if groups of developers and builders wanted to get together and as a block, as a political action committee, would we be speaking primarily to the mayor or to our councilman? And then the second question is, if you could hire, you have enough money to hire a lot of people. If you had carte blanche to hire the people that you need, how many people you need?
That's both. So the answer to the first question is yes, both on that. The answer to the second question is that depends. And here's what, I don't mean it facetiously, but here's what it really depends on. And it depends on what is the level of service that you would like to see. And that's what we don't know, because, so quite frankly, I don't think that we're there. President, I don't think that we, the codes department, are giving you all an appropriate level of service. So, and I'll get to a slide here in a minute, but what you're going to see is, and what many of you may know, is that if you're at our office at 7:30, you will be seen at some point during the day. It may be 3 o'clock before you get seen. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I totally get it. And if you're typical, on a typical day, we will close our doors at some few minutes after 8 o'clock. So if you show up, now we're open from 7:30 to 4, but if you show up wanting to make an application for a building permit anytime after 8 o'clock, you're probably going to get turned away. To me, that is not an acceptable level of service. What if we had 2 more zoning examiners where we could actually keep that open to 9 o'clock? You know, that's that many more permits, that's that many more buildings that come on, that's that many more property taxes. I mean, what comes into our department goes out the backside. And it brings building, it's taxes, it's all of that. So yeah, you're thinking around the right lines. I don't know what that is. So it's a matter of what's the government willing to pay for? And I don't have that. What I do know is, I've been from the mayor's office, Tim began saying, they said, Bill, what if we gave you 10 more employees? What can you do with that? So what I have to figure out is where are we constricting? Is it on the front end? Is it on the inspection? Is it in the UNO? I think it's a little bit everywhere for us. So how do I allocate those 10 people? I literally have a meeting this afternoon to try to figure that out. I think that we're well on our way there. But that's kind of where we are. It's a great question, and I wish I knew the answer. Okay, so there's that. Hey, no surprise. Here's building value over Nashville going currently. You can see we're all the way up here. Here's our number of employees. We are essentially at 2,000 levels in terms of our staff. So we are handling this with the same number of people roughly that we had in 2000. We need help. So how do we deal with this? How do we deal with that big line going forward? Here's how we deal with it. We have to be smarter with what we got. We don't have any more people, so we have to be smarter. So how are we going to do that? And so a lot of this presentation is going to be like I kind of led in with. It's going to be, let me show you how you can help you, and you don't have to have us help you. So part of that is previously our property standards division gets a lot of complaints about junk, trash, debris, you name it, whatever it may be. All of these complaints now have become centralized through the mayor's office. It's called Hub Nashville, and you can email in a complaint. It is then cycled through the mayor's office, and somebody up there determines which department is the appropriate department to handle it. It's then assigned to a point person. And our office is Karen West, and I'll give you her information here in a little bit. And then it's delegated to the correct individual person who can address that complaint for you. You will then, at least from our office, you will always get a return telephone call or an email letting you know what we've done and how it was resolved. So it keeps you from having to come down and register complaints. It keeps you from really, quite frankly, emailing us, and we get bombarded with lots, because we get stuff all the time. And it would be like, I don't know, for somebody wanting something from Public Works. We don't do that. So it realigns the process, makes us more efficient, so that at least we know that when it comes into us on the hub, it's really our stuff, and we can handle it, take care of it. This Q-list thing was a good idea that didn't work out so well, and many of you all probably have dealt with it. It's this sign-in app where you can sign in to get an appointment, if you will, kind of see a zoning examiner. Q-list was developed for a restaurant, and it operates off the principle that the next available table is ready, that you're there in the lobby and you're going to take that next available table. It doesn't work for us, and here's why, because many of you all know you may have your favorite zoning examiner. And so when you sign in on Q-list and then your number is called, you say, oh no, I don't want to see Tom Corcoran, I want Walter Morgan. It throws this algorithm completely out of whack, and it just simply doesn't work. We've also had people, go figure, learn to game this system. And what we'll have is, we'll have developers' offices think, you know what, I might need to go down to coach today, but I'm not really sure when I might want to go. So I'm going to sign in on Q-list, and I'm going to have this person sign in on their cell phone in my office. But in case I want to go in the afternoon, I'm going to have somebody else sign into the afternoon And if that doesn't work, I'm gonna have 3 people sign in tomorrow, and they never show up. They never come. Again, QLIS operates off the principle that you're standing there ready to come in and see somebody. It messes the whole thing up and it just doesn't work. So, it kind of is what it is. So what I've done is, I thought it was completely, utterly inequitable that folks who were standing in line, you could be first in line, and at our door at 7:15, we open the door and you walk in, you're first in line, you think you're gonna be seen first? Oh no, you're 41st in line. Because all these other people have already signed in QLIS in front of you, and that was completely inequitable. I trashed that immediately. So if you're in first in line, you got out of bed to come down there, you're gonna be seen first. We're not gonna open QLIS until 8 o'clock, and those folks that sign in on QLIS, good luck being seen, because usually the people who are at the door first have already got it. So, being that we close at 8 o'clock. So there's that. We're thinking, what QLIS does do is appointments. So here's my idea on this. If I were you, and I needed to see a zoning examiner, I would rather know that next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, that I can come in and sit down with the zoning examiner. I won't have to wait. I'm in and I'm out. Versus being at the office at 7:30 and sitting there all day long hoping that I might see somebody today. I think this has value. Water has kind of gone to this. If you all have thoughts on this, if you would let us know, because we're considering going to an appointment basis where you can make an appointment and you'll be seen at that time. Also, but I'll leave this real quickly, is if you had an appointment and you had like site plans, you could email them to the zoning examiner ahead of time. That zoning examiner maybe could go ahead and create the application if he or she has an extra minute, kind of get ahead of the game a little bit. There's that thought. If you have thoughts on it, let us know. So I'm going to talk about some of this other technology that you all can really, I don't know how many of you use Parcel Viewer on the planning board. Probably all of you all do. Yeah. So this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I keep it up on my computer, as Mary Carolyn knows, at all times. 90% of the questions I get on a daily basis, I can answer on Parcel Viewer. You can know everything that there is to know about the piece of property on Parcel Viewer. And if you're not aware of it, it's on the planning department's website. Go to their mapping and GIS link, and it'll take you to it. But you can get the property value, you can get all the when the property was conveyed. You can even look at the deeds. You can see what the assessor has to say about it. You can look at, for me, it's what is the zoning. It lets me know the old zoning. It lets me know if there are any overlays. It is just an absolute wealth of information, and I would really encourage you. I get so many questions every day. Hey, Bill, I just want to know what the zoning on this property is. I feel like just pulling my hair out and saying, have you been to Parcel Viewer? Because it's like so easy, and you can see everything that I can see on it, and you can do it from your desk. Of course, I'm too nice, so I'm not going to tell people that, but I feel excuse me. So, use and occupancy letters. These are these letters so that your clients have to have before you can consummate the sale of that property and they can move in. This has been a big problem for us because we don't have enough people, and we're at the end of the year, and everybody's going to close out and blah, blah, blah. So when I took over, we were running about 6 weeks out, and that was completely unacceptable in getting you your final UNO letters. So I got permission to give people overtime, and we worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. We've now whittled that down to about a 2-day turnaround. There was a period of time back, I don't know, a couple of months ago, we were actually current. But I think 2 days is reasonable, considering. And just FYI, these things, while they're just a really, really short letter that just says, hey, you're approved for final use and occupancy, what you all need to know is every one of these things is a research project in and of itself. It's not just generating a letter. If you take any building, whatever, there's going to be a building permit. There's going to be however many plumbing, electrical, mechanical permits, all associated with it. There may be tenant finish-out permits. Every single one of those has to be looked at, and every single inspection that's under those has to be made sure that they've all been inspected and approved. So any little bitty UNO letter is a research project for us, and it takes a lot of time. So if we can make this process easier for everybody, and I'm getting ready to tell you how we do it, it makes it so that we can turn these around for you much faster.
Because I went down there to get you another, I got the email 8 to 10 days ago saying, hey, you've been approved. We've been trying to get it because we were supposed to close today, now we're going to close Wednesday because we don't have a letter. What happened to like being able to go down there and pick up the letter? Because I just got told eventually you will get the letter today. That was what was told. And so that's the frustrating part for me as a rehab developer. That's the frustrating part that we have, because when you think about it, if it takes 30 days and you've got a bank loan, you're paying an extra $3,000, $5,000, $20,000 waiting on something that you know is already approved. And that's just really frustrating.
Right. No, I totally got it. So here's about the only thing that I can say. If you really, really are totally ready, and you really, really do have a closing date that you're backing up against, let me know.
Okay.
And I'll take care of it.
And it's usually just the houses that you know are going on the market are going to sell that day.
Right.
And so you've got your finals, you put it on the market, and then you're waiting on your CO at that
Right.
point.
Right.
And so that's what I've been oriented.
Right. So if you really, really, really have these situations, let me know, and we'll take care of it. That's about all. That's really about all that we can do. So in getting these letters, what slows us down so badly is folks that say that they're ready for their letter and they're not. And they really don't. I'm convinced of this. They don't know whether they're ready or not. They're using us to check their facts and inspections for them. So what it does for our staff is we have to go start doing the research. We do all the research only to find, oh, sorry, you don't have your plumbing final inspection. Or more than likely, either water hasn't signed off, sewer hasn't signed off, stormwater hasn't signed off, or maybe Cross Connect hasn't signed off. Something is completely out of our department. And all that's all under the water department. They haven't signed off on the final inspection. So we've just now taken 20 minutes to let you know that you're not ready. So the goal here is, and if we could just train everybody to do this, is we developed this on our website that walks you through how to know if you're ready for your final. If you really are ready for the letter, if you really are, then make the request. You can call it in, you can email it in, whatever, and we'll get it out just as quickly as we can. Here's one thing that we've done to the developers and the contractors is we are now forbidding them from even requesting their building final inspection until they get all their trade permits, the plumbing, electrical, mechanical. Until that's done, we're not even allowing you to ask for your final building inspection. And if you do, you're going to get this red box right here that says you need to go back and do your homework because you've got an outstanding electrical inspection that has not been approved. So we're not even going to come out there. We're not going to allow you to even ask for your final building until you do that. E-permits. So like 60% of our permit applications are made online. Virtually all the trade permits are made online. They don't come down to our office. Just throwing that out there. E-plans, we do review all those big sets of roll plans. We try to review almost everything electronically now. Saves a bunch of trees, and it's actually much quicker. And what we do for the commercial developers, so we do not review plans for 1 and 2 family residents. We only review plans for commercial projects and for multifamily. If your architect has plans and doesn't want to come down and create the application, just send us the plans and we'll create the application for you. We've got the systems perfectly apparent what you're doing. You go to a 12-unit apartment complex, whatever it may be, we'll create the app for you. Just keep trying to speed things up for everybody. So, the Board of Zoning Appeals. Sidewalks, y'all may have heard about that. That's been a challenge for us. And short-term rentals, Airbnbs. Every case that is scheduled to go in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals, you can see every single thing about every single case and where it is. This is on our website. If you're interested, if you see a zoning sign come up in your neighborhood and think, hey, what's that about? You can literally go to it. I just happened to pick this unlucky person who is Mr. Rennick. And you can see who the property owner is, you can see what they're asking for. They're actually amazingly asking for a variance from the short-term rental law, Airbnb. You can see everything that we know about the property. So if you have any questions about a zoning appeals case, you don't need to call us, you don't need to email. Everything that we have is online and you can see it from your office. So the BZA, last year, we don't have the numbers for 2019 yet, because we're not done. 740 appeals. The takeaway from this is in 2015, we had a total number of appeals of 124. You can see it's virtually doubled every single year. And of this 740, the vast majority were either sidewalk appeals or short-term rental appeals. The smattering of what's left were actual real zoning cases. Short-term rentals, the Airbnbs, the VRBOs. If you want to know where they are, that's where they are. That's every one of them. This is on our website. It's at your fingertips, and you can hover over any one of these dots, and it'll tell you everything that you want to know about it. The permit number, who owns the property, every little bitty thing, what they're allowed. So if you have any question about short-term rental, all that information is right there for you, and it's front and center on our website.
East Nashville and 12 South is the epicenter.
Yeah, it really is. So short-term rental, there are kind of stats. We've got about 4,800 active permits. So there's been a recent law change that does not allow the non-owner occupied, these are the investor credit ones, to be had in residential areas and neighborhoods. Duplexes and HBRs have to have a single owner, both the owner has to own both units to be eligible. And this is outdated. We've updated the permit fee to $200 and something, from 50 to 200. So we have this contract with host compliance, which is the greatest thing since sliced bread for us. We know where every single illegally operated short-term rental property is in Davidson County. We know every one. If they advertise anywhere on any platform, host gets it, and we know the property owner, we know the location of the property, we have all of their ads, we know everything that Airbnb knows about them. Currently, we're running about 1,300 illegally operated short-term rentals in Davidson County. There's another 1,000 that we haven't even bothered to check yet, and I'll explain why. And Host Compliance has this 24/7 hotline where you can call and complain, and they'll answer it, and they'll send something over to us. And so this is not without its issues, but generally it does work. The problem is yeah, Host lets us know if you call it in tonight, you've got somebody operating out there illegally, a big party, I don't know, whatever they're doing. When we get the notice from Host tomorrow, it'll get in line, and 3 months later, we'll actually get to it. That's the cold hard reality. I'm going to brag a little bit, I guess. So when we kind of started enforcing short-term rentals, this is hotel motel tax. This is the taxes that the short-term rental people should be paying. It starts here, kind of goes up and down. You see that nobody wants to come to Nashville in February. I wouldn't either. And then as the weather warms up, it gets better. And so as of July of this last July, on a monthly basis in terms of hotel motel tax, $840,000 in the month of July. That's a lot of money. The vast majority goes to the convention center, but just saying, it's a lot of money. The sidewalk ordinance, y'all have heard probably a lot about this. It has been difficult for us, to say the least. Lots of BZA cases over it. There's been some changes now that allow us to look at situations that are just difficult. Here's what we see a lot, and this happens a lot. And So we got an office building, it's there. It's got, located up on the street, as most are, like this building. And if you do a certain number of tenant finish outs within a 5-year period, you trigger new sidewalks. Now, here's what happens. So the tenant who's in there, who doesn't own the building, drew the unlucky straw and is the 5th person to make that request. So now we have a tenant that doesn't own the building who has to install sidewalks. And in a corner building, that's on both sides. Now, the problem is the sidewalk standards typically are much bigger today than they were, so it may be a 4-foot planter strip and a 6-foot sidewalk. There's a 5-foot sidewalk out there, it's much bigger. So now the tenant is faced with this option is, in order to put in the sidewalk, the tenant needs to move the building. So the tenant needs to tear down the building, move the building back. You see where this is going. And in the process, we lose all the existing parking. It's nonsensical. It doesn't work. So, and we get this all the time. So there's a new process to address situations like that, where if you're in a situation like that, we are looking at it under a sidewalk waiver scenario, where members from the Planning Department, Stormwater Division, and Public Works will look at it and try to determine whether it's equitable for you to allow to build the sidewalks up to the standards, or maybe there's some compromise and there's some smaller sidewalk, whatever it may be. So another part of what was recently done on the sidewalk ordinance is this number here used to be the assessed value. And what that meant is that if any renovation was greater than 50% of the assessed value, well, the assessed value on a commercial building is at 40%. So you're deflating the value by 40%. And if you do that, I mean, that's just triggering more sidewalks. But to me, it felt like that's kind of a bit artificial, because we're using an artificially deflated value by 40% when we're comparing that to the actual cost of any one renovation. So let's make it fair. Let's make it be the cost of the renovation versus the actual value of the building, an apple-to-apple comparison. Council agreed with that, and so that has now been changed to appraised value, and that's solved a lot of problems for us.
Just structure, not land.
Just structures, right? No land. So this, I'm not going to go through all this. What this is it allows the zoning administrator, John Michael, after consultation with the Planning Department, Public Works, and Stormwater, to take a look at any scenario where we feel like it's inequitable for the sidewalk standards to be met. Maybe you have to move the building, whatever it may be. Under this ordinance that's just been passed, he's now got discretion to look at it, and he almost always takes planning and stormwater and public works recommendation. There has been an in lieu of fee where if you were eligible, you could pay a fee in lieu of construction of the sidewalks. That fee was set by Public Works. If you had a double frontage lot, a new single family residence going in, corner lot, we've had where, I don't know, you've got a $300,000 sidewalk now that has to be put on a single family residence. Inequitable. So council has capped it at 3% of the value of the total construction, which keeps people on really big lots with double frontages from just getting annihilated. It's very helpful. So these entities that are asking for some consideration and to not build the sidewalk or looking for some accommodation somehow, whenever we get a request, it'll be mapped on this sidewalk waiver tracker. This is on our website, and it's available to you. Everything that we have is available to you. The red ones are the ones where they've asked for a complete waiver. The green ones are the ones that are currently in review, and the purple ones are the ones that have been completed. On each one of those, you can see the status of what's happening with that sidewalk at any point. HPR's Condominium Act. This may be something that y'all are interested in. So what we see, and sometimes pictures take is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is Mary Carolyn's district. I arbitrarily picked a place, and I don't know even where this is, because it was a great example. So here's what we see all the time everywhere, which leads to a big misconception. So look down here on this side. So this is on R6, which allows duplex, 1 and 2 family. Look down here, and you can see these are all platted lots, and every single one of these is 25 feet wide, and every single one of these has a house on them. What happened before was, like this guy here, back in the 30s, 20s, when these were all platted, people would buy 2 lots, and they would put a single family residence on it. These are 2 platted lots. You can see the dotted line down there. This was 25, that was 25. People would buy 2, put a house on it. Developer comes in, knocks the house down. Because these lots are platted, they're on a plat, they were approved by the planning commission, that line never goes away. They come back and they put a single family residence and a single family residence. So the street looks exactly like this. And you would say, wait a minute, I just drove down the street and there was just, people are coming in and they're putting 2 up, they're putting 3 up where there once was 1. True enough from the street, but the reality legally is each one of these is a platted lot, and each one of these houses is a single family residence. There's nothing that we can do to keep people from building a single family residence. You may not like the tall and skinnies, and by all accounts, if you drive down this road, it's going to look like a whole bunch of tall and skinnies. But they're not duplexes and they're not HPRs. They are single family residences that were built by right under the zoning. Conversely, across the street, it's the same zoning. These are platted in 50-foot lots. So in each one of these, there was probably a single family residence. They came in, tore it down. They came back, and because it's our zoning allows duplex. Each one of these tall and skinnies is a duplex. For us, it's a duplex. They're detached duplexes. They're duplexes. So there's a difference, and these were all set up as HPRs, horizontal property regime. A unit A and a unit B, a unit C, which is ground in the common area. So often people look at codes and say, well, codes allow all these tall and skinnies to go up everywhere. That's only really about half true, because the reality is most of the tall and skinnies that you're seeing, this scenario right here, they're not tall and skinnies, they're single family residences. Y'all have any questions on that? Yep.
So I'm running into, aren't they also, say it's zone R6, and there's supposed to be 6,000 square feet of property there
Right.
to allow those 2.
That's right.
And I have seen where, when I've sold the property, gone to zoning, they said, no, you can only put 1, it's 5,700 square feet. Or
Right.
850 square feet.
Right.
It's under 6,000.
Right.
You sell it based on 1 house can be built there. The builder, the developer, goes to the surveyor. I'm not sure how they enlarge that lot, but now it's platted for 2.
So if it's really close, these numbers here are put in by the mappers at the planning department. They're scaled numbers. They're based upon the information that they have. If a surveyor comes and surveys the dirt and gives us a survey and says there is 6,000 square feet there, then by law we have to honor that. This here, just like here, right here, that house isn't really sitting in the street. It's not. It's just where the stuff has been overlaid on GIS. And it gives me no concern. I know it's not really there. I also don't know that every one of these is exactly 50 feet. I don't know that. Is this one exactly 50 foot? Hopefully, I don't know. But we have to take a survey. And if it's close, the survey acknowledges it, stamps it. We have to take it.
Does Tennessee have any intention of recording surveys ever? Because that's a difficult thing. You can't really find a survey. You have to know who did it,
Right.
where to
So
go.
what we will typically do, if it's marked and we think it's questionable whether there's enough square footage, we'll have a survey. We will then scan that survey into the parcel viewer, so you will be able to see the survey. If somebody pulls a building permit to construct these, that survey will be there certifying it has the records of the tree. In terms of the state of Tennessee, I can't answer that. I'm local government, and that's them. But we will put that survey, before we issue the permit, we will put that survey in. So the survey is certified. Under his state license, it has the records of square footage. So, tiny homes. There's an appetite out there. Some people love them, some people hate them. I don't care. I just want them to be legal. So, how do we make them legal? Well, there's two problems. There's the zoning end of it, and then there's the building code construction end of it. The zoning end of it is if you're an RS zone, residential single family, and you've already got a house there, you want to put one of these in the back, that's a dwelling unit, you can't go there. So the zoning has to be right, has to be allowed for that second unit to go on the lot in the first place. The next problem is building codes. What's the difference between this and that?
Foundation.
Yeah,
Still has
exactly
a-
right. That's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. So this has wheels under it, has an axle under it. To us, this is a single wide mobile home. That's cute. Well, we don't do cute at codes. We do laws. We do codes. It's an issue for us. So single wide mobile homes are not allowed anywhere except within mobile home parks in Davidson County. You can also do it in agricultural districts. You can have a mobile home out there. But for everywhere else around town where somebody wants to put one of these in their backyard, you can't put that there. And then there's the issue of it has to be connected to electricity, plumbing. It has to be hardwired in to be compliant with the residential building codes. This would have to have an extension cord. It doesn't. It's not code compliant. So there's the challenge there. I could get way into the weeds on this, and I'm not. But there is one entity out there that has gotten with the mobile home industry and figured out a way to do these. They're still residents, but he said, well, she's figured out legally how to be code compliant.
And how do we find out how can we get into the weeds with you about it?
I'll give you my card, and I'll talk to you about it. It's way down deep into the legal weeds, but there is a way to do it, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. So I'm kind of concluding here, and thank you for y'all's patience. I really appreciate it. The takeaway from this is, if you've got any questions about our department, if you need anything from our department, Karen West, there is her telephone number, there is her email address. You need anything that we can help you with, email Karen or call Karen. She's very, very, very helpful. But do me this favor and do Karen this favor. Please, if you do that, give us a correct address. It is, it's so frustrating to get so many calls from people that say, I want to complain, I want to know what's happening with that house that's under construction that's on my street. You know, it's that one that's like maybe 3 or 4 houses down, but it's on the corner of that other street, and I can't remember the name of it right now. That does us no good at all. We've got to have a correct address or parcel numbers to know what we're even talking about. Evan Cathy is new to us. He is working as our public information officer. If you need anything from our department in terms of records or whatever, Evan's the guy to give a call. And the other points of contact, I mentioned Leoncio with the Development Services Center and Brady, who's our permit tech guy. Any issues on any permit at all, Brady is the guy, and he's exceedingly helpful, as is Leoncio. And that is it. I'm sorry, I hope I haven't taken too much time, but any questions at all that I can answer?
For
before that there was, priority giving for green building permits. Is that true? Like if
No.
oh, that's not true.
Not true.
Are you guys considering anything like that for sustainable, exemplary construction that didn't have?
Honestly, no, because I don't know how we would implement it,
Yeah.
really. I mean, how do we fit you into that category when somebody else isn't? If somebody else wants to figure that out, hand us a list of those people, and if council seems to think that that's okay, then we'll have to try. Anything else, anybody I can try to help or ask? Well, listen, thank you all very, very much.
Thank you very much. Actually, arrange this. So he'll talk about this earlier, but the Hub Nashville app is really cool. You can do a lot of stuff without having to call anybody and be self-service. So it's just called Hub Nashville, and it's on the App Store, and you can get it to it from there. I'll send out the slides as well. That's cool.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.